Model Context Protocol. It's all the rage right now. It's a new way for LLMs to interact with existing systems and the world around them. You can kind of think about MCP a little bit like we have our senses. The MCP server exposes out a set of tools. Those tools are things that are like our hands. They're the things that allow us to do things in the world and say and tell them to do things. So it's like our hands and our voice. We also have resources. Resources are a way of returning pieces of information to LLMs that are like videos, images, and other types of binary information. It makes it so that LLMs can request information from an MCP server that is not structured data, but is actually, useful binary information like videos and images. Now, the problem that you kind of run into, that I've started to run into as the MCP server building that I've been building, the input and output schemas that are available on a set of tools are a really great start in how we describe the use of those tools to an LLM, because we can return descriptions for each of the attributes and the parts of pieces of what that tool needs to be passed so that it can then do whatever it needs to do that it's been told to do. And we've recently added the output schema as a new attribute to a tool, to the execute tool request or execute tool response. So now we have an output that comes from a tool that has a schema associated with it. We have an input that tells it what you have to do to be able to invoke the tool. The issue is that many times I have a whole set of tools that I would like to give to the LLM. Maybe 30 or 40 different ones. And a lot of them use the same pieces of information over and over and over again. The problem is, with my tools, because I can only put an input and an output schema when I list each tool in the list tools request or the list tools response, I have to keep duplicating information of consistent data that's happened over and over and over and over and over and again. So I have to keep telling it that if I have the same piece of data that I'm going to be passing in 10 different tools, I have to tell it 10 different times the full details of exactly what that data is that I'm going to pass to those tools. And you say, well, why wouldn't I just make a tool with an execute endpoint that has an enum that it passes to it, and I pass the same request to it? Sometimes it's nested inside the objects, and it's little attributes of things that are reused value objects throughout your domain. So you can't really do that. Now, how OpenAPI solved it is they have a list of components, of models that you can reference within the API specifications of the input and output requests, of the RPC requests, so that, and between other, and within the models themselves, so that I don't have to repeat that information over and over and over again, and I don't use up all my valuable context space that those MCP agents have. So I'm proposing a new part of the protocol, and not a very complicated one, just a simple extension to what we've already got. I want schemas. I think there should be a list schemas tool. It's not a tool, but it's a list schemas request within the RPC definition of the MPC protocol. And it should return a list of schemas that each have a name associated with them. And that name should be unique within all the schemas within one session of an agent, because MCP is always session-based. And I can then refer to those schemas in the input and output schemas of our tools. And now, eventually, if I ever get other parts to our protocol, which I'm also going to propose that some other in other videos, then we can now properly describe our world. We've given eyes to the LLMs so that they're able to discern what tools can be used in a consistent way, in a known way that they can understand, using a JSON specification that they know natively. So I hope you support my proposal. I have it on GitHub right now. Link is in the chat discussion below. Now, if you don't agree with me and you think this is a bad addition to the MCP protocol, you tell me in the comments as well.